All right, we're here on HQ on the day Baker Mayfield was officially named the starting quarterback in Carolina, beating out Sam Darnold for that top spot. Mayfield going to face his former team in his very first start with his new team, Browns and Panthers, September the 11th, week 1 in Charlotte. Mayfield traded to Carolina in July after spending the first 4 years of his career in Cleveland, former #1 overall pick. Set some Browns records, led them to their only playoff win since '94, but really bad last year. Could not take care of the football. 16 turnovers as the talented Browns missed out on the postseason last year. That's why they traded for Deshaun Watson to try to get over that hump. Watson will be out the first 11 games of this season, but Baker Mayfield going to be leading the Carolina Panthers. They hope to maybe playoff contention this season. Brady Quinn is here with us to discuss Baker Mayfield and the Carolina Panthers. Really no surprise that he was named starter. Was that ever really a race between he and Sam Darnold, do you think?
Maybe if the coaching staff didn't feel like he was, up to snuff with where the offense needed to be week 1. That is a consideration. A lot of times, Ben McAdoo in this case, who's the play caller there in Carolina, he might not feel like Baker has a strong enough feel for the terminology and the overall rhythm of the drops and everything that goes involved with the offense. So that would be one consideration. But I think the writing was on the wall. They'd seen enough from Sam Darnold. Once they made the move for Baker Mayfield, you kind of knew eventually he'd get the start. It was just a matter of when. And obviously they feel comfortable enough with him to start week 1. So this makes for a tantalizing matchup. Look, it's not going to be Deshaun Watson. We've known that. But still, Baker Mayfield going all scorched earth week 1 versus the Cleveland Browns. Sign me up, baby. I can't wait.
And we're going to pick that game with you in just a little bit, but want to get a season-long player prop for Baker Mayfield, who was really good in 2020 and then came way back down to earth in 2021. His over-under passing yards, 3,700 and a hook. Now, he went over that in his first 2 seasons, but he's been under that his last 2. How about this year?
Well, last year, if you would have played 3 more games, right, all 17, would have flirted with that number based on his yards per game average, and who knows, maybe it would have went over. We'll have to wait and see. Here's why he's going to go over this number, okay? I mentioned Ben McAdoo is the play caller there in Carolina. Let's go back to the last time he was a play caller or head coach back with the New York Giants. So you go back to 2014 through 2017, they were 9th in attempts, 6th, 8th, and 1st in 2017. Baker Mayfield has never thrown more than 534 attempts in his career so far in Cleveland. And yes, obviously, he went over this mark back in his second season, or excuse me, his third season, his best season in Cleveland. Eli Manning threw for over 600 pass attempts in 14, over 618, 598, 571. Do you get the trend here? Ben McAdoo likes to throw the football. Look, clearly Baker Mayfield was brought in to be better and more proficient at throwing the football than Sam Darnold. So that's what they're going to do. Ben McAdoo's offense is more of a short passing game type of attack. You could utilize Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield and the rest of their weapons, but trust me, they're going to go over this number. Baker Mayfield, if he stays healthy, he's going to go over this number this season.
Not to mention, it seemed like there were several games where the weather really played a factor in what they could do offensively through the air in Cleveland. That AFC North, it's much different in the NFC South. You've got warm weather destinations. You've got 2 indoor places in the domes in Atlanta and in New Orleans. So the pick is the over 3,700 passing yards for Baker Mayfield. Moving to Christian McCaffrey, who could be the key for this team. And the key for Christian is to stay healthy. He's only played in 10 games over the last 2 seasons. Matt Rule said last week he's really not going to try to protect him at all anymore this season. Take a listen.
I think the simple fact is most great players like Christian, that are like of the same size, ilk, and all that, they just continue to play. And so, to me, I'm not worried about Christian getting hurt. I'm worried about Christian being the best running back in the National Football League and doing everything I can to help him be that and all our team. So that's getting the O-line right, that's getting the schemes right, and when the time comes, we'll address it as best we can.
All right, so taking a quote from that, I'm not worried about Christian getting hurt. I think a lot of people that are thinking about drafting him in fantasy are going to be worried about that. Should he be worried?
I mean, look, I'll put it this way. We seem to act like Christian McCaffrey's ancient, has been in the NFL forever. He really hasn't. You know, he's only 26 years old. He just has missed a lot of time the past couple of seasons. 23 games. You know, you kind of threw out the number earlier, but he's had a hard time staying healthy. And so, look, he's going to touch the football in the rushing attack. He's obviously going to catch the football out of the backfield, too, and he's going to be in there for a blitz pickup because he's smart. He's capable of doing all of it. He may be, when healthy, one of the best, if not the best, back in the league. The reality is, the past couple of seasons, he hasn't been able to stay healthy. What do you attribute it to? Well, Chris, I did a deep dive into all this, and if we're really being serious about this could be a potential factor, all right? Started dating Olivia Culpo back, I think, in Valentine's Day of 2020 where it became official, but really it started at the end of 2019. And since they've made this official, he hasn't been able to stay healthy. I don't know what we make of this. You know, maybe he's got a lot of comfort in going back to Olivia at home, but someone needs to maybe talk to him a little bit. They need to figure this out between those two, because clearly since they started dating, he has not been able to stay on the field, and that's a problem for the Carolina Panthers. So I'm not sure what else we could take from that outside of maybe he's looking forward to going back home to her too much. But again, the reality is when he's healthy, he's one of the best in the league. It's just about keeping him on the field. And this relationship seems to be getting in the way, Chris.
It's funny you mention that because when you Google Christian McCaffrey, the first thing that comes up is an article that says, look, Christian McCaffrey's girlfriend shares new racy photos. Did not click on that. I moved right on to the betting odds for Christian McCaffrey. Plus 900 to win Comeback Player of the Year. Brady, you interested?
Yeah, I'm interested. I would sprinkle a little money on that. I think, again, if he's healthy and if he's going to play all 17 games, which is probably out of the question, by the way. I think being a running back in today's game, as much as they're going to use him if he is healthy, he's probably going to miss a game or have, a game or two where maybe he's going to be out. He's not going to be out there. But I think he can win Comeback Player of the Year. He's that dynamic of a player. He's one of the favorites. He's not the #1 fantasy player overall in a lot of drafts. It's just about the health. That's really what it comes down to. So I would sprinkle some money on that. I think when you look at some of the other candidates that he's up against, you always think quarterback in this particular case. And there's some guys who obviously, could have a huge year. Jameis Winston's one in particular that I'm looking at, considering what he has out around them just within his own division. But I think Christian McCaffrey is the first guy that comes to mind that would make you think, as far as the rest of the running backs, he would have a shot for it at plus 900.
All right. As a team, the Panthers win total is set at 6.5. That's low. I mean, that's like Bears territory. I've seen some articles that also say, hey, this could be the Cincinnati Bengals like last year. The Panthers could jump up and surprise you. Where are you at with the 6.5 wins?
Well, I like the over. I do think this team is going to be better than people give them credit. I mean, they were the #2 overall defense last year. We kind of overlooked that. The problem is their offense had a hard time with turnovers, and the defense was having a hard time getting the football back. So that's a problem. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, as we've harped on, he's your best player, and he's not on the field. That's a problem. Look, of their 12 losses, 6 of them last season were by 1 score. This team isn't that far off. It's a young team. It's a talented team. Their defense is built to compete right now. And I think if you're looking at their offense now with Baker Mayfield, if he can stay healthy and play the way we saw him play a couple of years ago, along with McCaffrey, they address the offensive line issues. I think this team's going to be improved. I think within their own division, they could potentially split with the Saints. You've got O-line issues in Tampa. Who knows how that's going to play out through the course of the season. And I think they'll sweep the Atlanta Falcons. And then when you look at the rest of the schedule, they've got a bye before Seattle. That's a very winnable game for them. They get Detroit late in the season. That's another winnable game. You look at their hosting Pittsburgh as well. Maybe you get a rookie QB in Kenny Pickett and you make some of those mistakes. That's another win. They get Cleveland to start off, which I'm not going to foreshadow the pick there, but that looks favorable to me. And then the New York Giants as well. So I think they can hit the over number. Maybe they turn in that surprise team that competes for a wild card spot, but I'd say that's probably their ceiling this year.
Okay, what's your bold prediction then for the Carolina Panthers in the 22 season?
I think the bold prediction would be just that. They make a wild card run. You've got scorched earth Baker Mayfield, who wants to prove to everyone that he's still very capable of being a franchise quarterback, and Christian McCaffrey, who could prove that his relationship is not getting in the way of his health on the field, and he is still one of the best backs in the league. And then Matt Rule justifying the fact that he is the right guy for the job. Obviously, a lot of pressure has been thrown on him to turn this thing around, especially with the new ownership of David Tepper, and he's going to be impatient. So I think, that would be probably the biggest bold prediction. It's probably more likely they end up second in the division, though, behind the Tampa Bay Bucs.
Yeah, Sportsline giving them just a 13% chance to make the postseason, so that would be bold if they make a run at a wild card spot. All right, Let's pick that Baker Mayfield revenge game week 1 as the Browns come to Carolina. The Panthers are home favorites, -1.5.
Funny line to me. I would think Carolina, especially given the familiarity and playing at home to start off the season, will get a little bit more than 1.5. But I'll gladly take that with the Carolina Panthers and lay the points. You know, people are going to say, well, look, the Browns know all of Baker Mayfield's weaknesses for, drafting him #1 overall and seeing him the past 4 years. The reality is Baker obviously knows a lot of those matchups. He knows a lot of personnel and those defenses he went up in all the time in training camp, OTAs, and minicamp. So there's a lot of familiarity both ways. Now, I think you're looking at a Carolina Panthers team that has a ton to prove and a Cleveland Browns team that's really just waiting for Deshaun Watson to come back and take over as starter of this team. So, crazy things happen week 1 in the NFL. I don't think this one's crazy, though. I think the logic applies to Baker Mayfield being the better of the 2 quarterbacks on the field that day, and the Carolina Panthers win covering the 1.5. Low-scoring game, though. You got the good defense for Carolina. I also think Cleveland's got a very tough defense as well. Both teams are going to want to run the football a bit considering the running backs. So, faster game, and I think a lower-scoring game. Take the under.
All right, that is Brady Quinn with us here on CBS Sports HQ, looking at the Carolina Panthers, who today named Baker Mayfield their starting quarterback going into the season. Our coverage on CBS returns week 1, September the 11th, and that game, Browns-Panthers, is on CBS at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. A couple of really good afternoon games as well. The Chiefs are at Kyler Murray and the Cardinals at 4:25, and the Raiders and Chargers in one of many great divisional matchups in the AFC West this season.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.